Alright, here we are, the final archive video, Season 6, Part 2, Twist of Fate. This game was actually planned and made before Part 1 even took place. We had this planned a long time ago. Mason, Nate, and myself knew that there were so many people that deserved a second chance that we had to split them up into two groups. Twist of Fate is all about chance, luck, fate, things that are completely out of your hands. How will you overcome what fate has in store for you? This game also featured an advantage menu, which instead of fire tokens, there were runes, because we went with a Nordic theme. And like a Nordic theme, we had the Tree of Fate Yggdrasil, which players would visit to get a punishment, a reward, or nothing at all. And this game also seen the return of the advantage in the city, something that we haven't done since Season 3. And this advantage in the city was an open contract, meaning if we weren't going to have you play this game and you found it, that's your golden ticket to get another shot at winning, because this would be the last public game, and everyone knew it. For a lot of players, this was their last time to play Survivor. And that advantage in the city was found by Peyton, guaranteeing himself a spot in the cast of the Season 6 Part 2 players, meaning Peyton, this is his third time to play. What is the advantage in the city? It's a white rock, which he can use to purchase something off of the advantage menu. It's extremely important because the only other way that you could get a white rock in the game is by going to a tiebreaker, going to rocks, and staying in the game and getting to keep your white rock. So the white rocks are going to be hard to come by, but let's meet the other players. First, returning from Season 4, we have Jimmy. Then, returning from Season 5, we have Cole, Ethan, Dustin, Maddie, and for her third time, Abby. Next, returning from Season 6, Part 1, we have Sam and Gabe. And we have one brand new player, and that would be Cameron. Good luck. Before the game began, these 10 players got to intermingle, and two natural groups started to form. There was Abby and her brother Ethan's group with Sam and Cam, and Cole kind of on the outside, just dancing around it. And then on the other side, we had this grand reunion of Dustin, Maddie, and Peyton, who all worked together in Mystery Island, and Dustin kind of burned Maddie and Peyton, and yet they're still hovering around Dustin even still. And then Gabe is kind of a part of this circle, and Jimmy's just doing his own Jimmy thing. And for the first time ever, we allowed the two tribes, the two starting tribes, to be split by fate. Meaning we didn't plan anything. It was completely up to chance how these tribes would be split. And fate would have it that these two natural groups that were divided were the starting tribes. First, always in orange, we have the Thor tribe. And it has Dustin, Maddie, Peyton, Gabe, and Jimmy. And always wearing purple, we have the Ragnarok tribe with Abby, Ethan, Sam, Cam, and Cole. Couldn't have been more strange how these tribes were divided. After the tribes were divided, we had a quick gauntlet-style challenge where each member of their tribe had a part to play. And after the Ragnarok tribe had won the challenge, I said it didn't matter because both tribes would be voting for someone right now. And after the voting had been completed and revealed, Cole had received the most votes on the Ragnarok tribe, while Dustin received the most on the Thor tribe. But we threw another curveball at the players when we said that these two players were not voted out of the game, and they had to reassess their placement within their tribe. Now Cole and Dustin are completely aware that they're playing from the bottom. The first immunity challenge was a game of tic-tac-throw, where players would run out to a giant tic-tac-toe board and place their tribe's beanbag in any available slot. Then they'll run back to the start, and the next player will go. Once a tribe has made a tic-tac-toe, a 3 in a row, the tribe will receive a point, and the first tribe to 5 points will win immunity. The winning tribe was the Thor tribe, and as such, they got to earn their way into Valhalla, an air-conditioned paradise where treasure awaits. Once the Thor tribe got into Valhalla, they realized that there were different areas to unlock, and they needed to find runes to unlock these areas. Peyton still had that white rock advantage that he found before the game began, and he found the additional runes needed to buy the little item on the advantage menu, which was a still-a-vote advantage. Now, Peyton has the only advantage in the game. Not only that, but the Thor tribe got enough runes to unlock a new area, and inside that area was a hidden advantage which Peyton also found, and it was an idol nullifier. Peyton had proved that he is no longer this lapdog player that he learned from his mistakes because he didn't tell anybody about the advantages that he found. Meanwhile, at the losing Ragnarok tribe, the players got to visit Yggdrasil, the Tree of Fate, one at a time to see what fate had in store for them. At the tree, there were 5 different options that you could choose from. Advantage in ties, advantage in challenges, advantage in the game, advantage in voting, or an idol clue. Each category had 5 different cups that you could choose from. Once you picked a category, you would pick a cup, and inside would determine what fate had in store for you. It would either be an advantage, a disadvantage, or nothing at all. Most players got nothing at all. However, Cole managed to find an advantage in the upcoming immunity challenge, and Cole tried to leverage that with his tribe on why they should keep him around. If they kept him in the tribe, then their tribe would have a better chance at winning. But when it came down to votes, it didn't matter, and Cole was the first person voted out. At the next immunity challenge, it was already time to shuffle things up. We had the players drop their buffs and merge. However, this merge comes with a twist. The first place winner of this immunity challenge will be in Valhalla and will take with them 2 players chosen by fate, meaning those 3 players will not take part in the upcoming tribal council. This challenge was a grueling pencil race where the players would run out to a pile of pencils, grab 2, and return to their pile. Then they could steal any 1 pencil from anyone else's pile and add it to theirs. Then they would run out and do it again. The first player to 21 pencils will win immunity, and that winner was Dustin. Additionally, the 2 players that were saved by fate were Sam and Jimmy. These 3 players went to Valhalla, got to enjoy some air conditioning, look for additional advantages, and just relax. Now it looks like it's going to be a 3-3 split because we have Abby, Ethan, and Cameron on one side, and Maddie, Peyton, and Gabe on the other. However, the newcomer Cameron had a little plan going into this tribal council. He said to Abby and Ethan very quickly, just trust me, and let's vote out whoever you say. Cameron spent the majority of the round talking with Maddie, Peyton, and Gabe. That way they knew that he was not speaking with Abby and Ethan. And they had planned to split the votes 2-2, Abby and Ethan. In case one of them had an idol, the other person would go home. So Peyton and Maddie were to vote out Abby, and Cameron and Gabe were to vote out Ethan. After Cameron got done speaking with them, he went and sat by himself. Now, on the outside looking in, this looks kind of stupid. You should be talking to people to make sure everyone knows where you're coming from, that the plan isn't going to get flipped on you. But to Cameron, he wanted to make sure that everyone knew where he stood. And at Tribal Council, it was a blindside, because there was 2 votes for Abby and 1 vote for Ethan, while Abby, Ethan, and Cameron voted together and took out Gabe. At this point in the game, it was time to come back into 2 tribes of 4, random, chosen by fate. But before we could do that, Jimmy had to leave the game unexpectedly, and instead of having the round of 2 tribes of 4, we immediately went to a permanent merge of the final 7. The first immunity challenge was a memory sequence challenge, where players were given a sequence and had to remember it, and the winner of the challenge was Cameron. And now in the final 7, we have Sam and Cam, Abby and her brother Ethan, versus Dustin, Peyton, and Maddie. And to make things a little bit more interesting, we had the final 7 visit the Tree of Fate. Some players got nothing, other players got runes, and Ethan received an idol clue to an exclusive hidden immunity idol. Peyton, Sam, Dustin, and Abby all spent their runes to a clue to the hidden immunity idol, which was located in the front yard. However, Ethan's idol was located in the backyard, and nobody else would receive a clue for it. Ethan never found the idol in the backyard. However, The one in the front yard was found by Sam. So Sam told his close allies, Abby, Ethan, and Cam, all about his brand new findings. And then Ethan decides to tell everyone else. So now everyone knows that Sam has an idol. At Tribal Council, the lines were divided. Sam, Abby, and Cam decided to vote for Maddie, while Ethan threw a rogue vote onto Peyton. Peyton, Dustin, and Maddie voted for Ethan, so we had a tie. And in the re-vote, Maddie was sent home, making her the first member of the jury. Now, for those that are asking, why get rid of Maddie first instead of Dustin or Peyton? If there was an idol between those three, Dustin or Peyton definitely would have had the idol used for them. No one would have thought of option C, that being Maddie. It was a very clever and well thought out plan, one that you typically only see Survivor professionals pull off. But now here we are in the final 6, and Dustin is still in it, who is relatively good at competitions. And this game is the Flip Cup game, similar to that in Season 3 and 5. But as big as a challenge threat that Dustin is, it didn't stop Ethan from winning immunity. In addition, the winner of this challenge also got to visit Yggdrasil, the Tree of Fate, for the final time. And Ethan made it count because he found an exemption pass. With the exemption pass, you can use it on yourself or anyone else, and that player must leave Tribal Council. They don't get to cast a vote, but they also won't be voted out. Seeing that Ethan already has a guaranteed spot in the final 5, he decides to give the exemption pass to his sister, Abby, so that way they both will make it into the final 5. Then, for whatever reason, Abby decides to once again make the mistake that got her voted out the very first time in Mystery Island. She decides to go to Peyton and tell him everything, that she is getting this exemption pass, that she won't be at Tribal Council. And Peyton's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Will you get to cast a vote first? And Abby decides to tell him the truth. No, I'm not going to get to cast a vote. I'll just sit this tribal out. And Peyton says, thank you so much for telling me everything. In Abby's point of view, she does want to go to the end of the game with Peyton and her brother Ethan. If it is her and Peyton in the final 2, she believes that she'll get winning votes from Sam, Cam, and her brother, so she thinks that she can beat Peyton. Even so, even though she wants to go so deep into the game with Peyton, that doesn't mean that she can't just lie or omit information from him. Instead, she gives him the information, and information is the most powerful thing in Survivor. At Tribal Council, Abby keeps her word and uses the exemption pass on herself, leaving Tribal Council and going to Valhalla. Before voting began, Peyton stood up and used his steal a vote advantage on Cameron, preventing Cameron from casting a vote, and Peyton will vote twice instead. When Peyton went to vote, he cast both of his votes and then pulled out the idol nullifier, writing down Cameron's name and then put it into the voting urn. Now, if an idol gets played for Cameron, it would be canceled. When all the votes had been cast, I asked if anyone would like to use a hidden immunity idol. Sam stood up and he was ready to play his, and he played it for Cameron. However, I opened the voting urn and revealed that an idol nullifier had been played, and the person whose name was written on the idol nullifier was Cameron, and therefore all idols for Cameron will not work. There was 3 votes for Cameron, 2 votes for Dustin. Cameron became the second member of the jury. Everyone was shocked. Dustin didn't even know that Peyton had an idol nullifier. I think Peyton did tell Dustin that he had a still a vote advantage, but he completely omitted the idol nullifier. Ethan didn't see it coming. Sam didn't see it coming. And I hope everyone sees what happens whenever all the information's out there. Peyton knew that Sam had an idol. Peyton knew Abby wasn't going to be at Tribal Council. And Peyton also knew that he had these 2 advantages. And boom, one of the coolest and most thought out move in all of Survivor Durant just happened. In the Final 5 Immunity Challenge, it was a balancing act that Abby won, guaranteeing herself a spot in the Final 4. This makes back-to-back trips for Abby in the Final 4, and this time she's with her brother, her number 1 ally, and they have Sam on their side. They have the numbers. Things are looking up for Team Spala. Peyton and Dustin are on the outs. Dustin is known for being a social manipulator and a very strong comp beast, while Peyton just pulled off one of the craziest moves Survivor Durant has ever seen. These two couldn't be more on the chopping block, but they were counting on one thing: Dustin's skills at Tribal Council and how he can just create mass chaos. Ethan was also looking to make a big move and to make a name for himself. He didn't want it to be the Abby show. He had to get out from under her shadow. So, at Tribal Council, Dustin went on this rant, talking about how Sam is this swinging door. He's back and forth. You never know which way he's going to go. He's like a rope. You don't know which way he's going to be pulled. And Peyton leans over to Dustin and says, "I think I can get Ethan in on this vote." Peyton then leans to Ethan and says, "Ethan, do you want to make a move? Now's your time for you to play for yourself. Do you want to get rid of Sam?" And Ethan says sure. When the votes were read, it was 2 votes for Dustin and 3 votes for Sam, making Sam the 3rd member of the jury. Now, in the final 4, Abby finds herself once again all alone. Her closest ally, her flesh and blood, just betrayed her for one of the biggest comp beasts in all of Survivor Durant, and someone who just pulled off one of the craziest moves in all of Survivor Durant. The Final 4 Immunity Challenge was an icy chugging contest. Whoever could get down their giant icy first would win immunity, and that went to Dustin. Abby went to her brother and pleaded with him to vote with her, to tie it up, to make a tiebreaker challenge. Ethan said, "Okay." Then Abby went back to him and said, "You can do whatever you want." And he said, "Okay." When the votes were read, it was 3 votes for Abby, making her the next member of the jury. Here we have our final 3, Dustin, Peyton, Ethan. And the final immunity challenge would be determined by fate. There were 2 cups before them, one that said physical and one that said mental. Obviously, the cup that was opened and the note inside would determine what the final immunity challenge would be. And the open cup said mental. So the final immunity challenge would be a very tough 7-piece puzzle. The winner of this immunity challenge was Peyton. And now he got to decide who he takes to the end. Dustin, someone that was by his side from the beginning, or Ethan, the loyal follower for the last 2 votes. Obviously, this was a no contest, and Ethan was the 5th member of the jury. Now we have the final Tribal Council, Peyton versus Dustin. And at Tribal Council, Dustin decides to lay down his sword and just toss the game to Peyton. Kind of a slap in the face, not only to Peyton, but also to all the players who spent the entire day playing, and to all the production who spent months creating the game. Whether it was because Dustin didn't think he could beat Peyton, or maybe he just didn't want to try and then actually fall short because that would hurt his ego, whatever reason, Dustin couldn't help but compliment Peyton in everything that he said. There were times that Abby and Maddie both wanted Dustin to own his game and to say something without complimenting Peyton, but Dustin digressed and would fail to do so. And when the votes were read, Peyton won 5-0. Even though Dustin threw the game and basically gave everyone the middle finger at the very end, the right person won. The better Survivor player won. You see, Dustin thinks that he was doing Peyton a favor by just tossing the game to him, but the truth is, even if Dustin gave it his all, Peyton still would have kicked your ass. Congratulations, Peyton. It took you 3 times, but you got there. You definitely have my vote as the most improved player. I couldn't be more proud of you. Thank you so much for listening to Twist of Fate Archived. You did it. You made it all the way through every single archive video. You know the entire history of Survivor Durant. Well, almost all of it. We're not quite done yet. One more game coming in 2022. Only the best invited. Can you figure out who they are? Can't wait to see you all there. And for the love of God, don't tell anybody if you find an advantage.